It is a great pleasure and a great honor to welcome Aisha Vertus on this program. She is a DJ and she goes by the alias Gayance. I believe that's how you pronounce it.
Gayance.
Gayance. Right. Thank you. Welcome to the show, Aisha. How you doing?
Doing good, you?
Yeah, I'm doing all right. So I should say for context's sake, this has come about after several scheduling conflicts between you and I. And
Yeah.
yeah, but nevertheless,
Um,
it's a pleasure to have finally met you.
yes, I was on the road and things get crazy, schedules and stuff like
Hmm.
that. I apologize, but I'm happy to chat with you now.
Hmm. So where are you currently?
I'm in Amsterdam.
Netherlands.
Yes.
Yes, I've never been actually. What's it like there?
Amsterdam is pretty different than the other cities, I think. It's the architecture is very beautiful. There's a lot of canals. They say it's like the Venice of the North. A
Mm.
lot of bikes. So, I mean, the classic, the red light district, the legal weed with the coffee shops. But at the same time, it has this very elite vibes in the city. You can tell that people are very rich because the city is clean
Yeah.
and it's like at the same time party city.
Hmm.
So it's kind of special. It's like dark, but at the same time very fun. I
Oh,
don't know
yeah.
how to say. I've been living here for 6 months, so I think I guess I'm still adapting. That's why I'm saying those things.
I see.
And yeah,
Mhm. So I'm guessing your previous place of residence is Montreal, Quebec, right?
exactly.
Hmm. How's the shift from one city to another feel like?
And it's a big clash. Very, you would thought like, oh, I'm going from the west to the west. There won't be like a shock,
Hmm.
but still like there's still a shock. To be fair with you, to be honest with you, because the way things are dealt with here are different. There's good ways. Like, I mean, people really respect like club culture as a whole. Like, it can be lucrative for artists who are in that scene, and people who go to parties can really have an experience that is like curated and speakers and sound system that is like impeccable and very great artists and variation and things like that. But yet, like profoundly, deeply, you just like it's just a big business. But Montreal was like less funded because it's like much more underground. But people cared less, about the well-being of their community, I think.
I see.
And yeah, but at the same time, how can I say, like, I'm literally on the colonizer's land. So yeah, so when people want to address situations, it's very different. So their ways of thinking is different. So even me, who was born and raised in Canada, I'm like, I need to adapt because it's like, whoa, it's a completely different world, but still the same, the West, what I'm saying. So it's very special. I guess that's how they can keep people divided because the certain conversation are still, polarized
Yeah,
so much.
yeah. It's like the great rapper Tupac says, West Side, right?
I know.
Yes, I felt the same way when I was moving from Canada to Austria with a brief year back in my home country of Vietnam. They are still like the West, so to speak, but the
Yeah.
culture of Canada is very much different from what we do here in Austria. And I should say that Vienna is such a beautiful city, but the people are not beautiful at all. They are very rude.
Oh, yeah. It's the coldness, huh? Here
Yeah.
too. People in Amsterdam, they like to say that they're very straightforward, but I feel like there's some kind of rudeness, especially coming from a certain class of people. Like I said, like I've never lived in a city with people that were like that rich.
Mhm.
Like, to me, it's just crazy. And I'm just like, whoa, like some people, it's really like generational wealth, but like old money, and they really like act like it. So it's kind of something to adapt. Plus, the party aspect,
Hmm.
it's insane. I'm like, what? Yeah.
I see.
Oops.
So, your
Sorry.
cultural background is Haitian, I believe.
Exactly.
So you
My parents
yeah,
are,
yeah, your parents.
yeah, my yeah.
hmm So were you raised there, or were you born and raised in Canada?
I was born and raised in Canada.
I see.
Never been to Haiti. That's the crazy part. But I speak fluently the language. Like people don't even hear that. I guess some, but like most people say I speak Creole very good.
hmm
And yeah, I know my culture, but I've never been there. It's crazy.
I see. Tell us about the Haitian Creole language.
It's a very beautiful language. I mean, Creole is like, to me, it's beyond a language. It's like literally a culture, you know?
hmm
Like, and there's so many variation of Creole. It doesn't necessarily, and I feel like also the concept of Creole really came with that era of like colonization and things. It's not a bad thing, you know, it's just culture, you know. You have to have three cultures that meet themselves, not two, but
hmm
three, you
Right.
know. It's like most likely to be, you know, the Western, like the white European culture mixed with indigenous culture from the place where it is, so it can be in Asia, in Africa, in Latin America, or in America. I mean, there was people before the people, you know what I'm saying? And
Mhm.
so those people, indigenous people, and then African culture mixed together. That is like Creole, like my Creole per se, you know? It's like a mix of all of that in the language and in our culture. Obviously, there's like a bigger imprint of like African influences in it,
Mhm.
but it's like all those things collided together and made that language and made like this culture, you know, what it is, you know.
I
For
see.
instance, like in the language, you can trace some dialect from West Africa, Spanish, Portuguese, French, English, and also in the way we make our food, especially in Haiti. There's some techniques that are from the Taino and Arawak indigenous people, but there's also foods that we make like West African, and then we make like for example the patty, the Haitian patty is much more like French style than the Jamaican one because it's like feuilleté, you know, so it's like all those things mixed together that make a culture, you know.
I see. Yeah. I'm pretty. I must admit I don't know much about the culture of Haiti or the Afro-West Caribbean region. So, what would be the first thing that someone, a foreigner like myself, need to know about that cultural milieu?
Listen, I'm very, very proud to say that Haiti in those times, you know, when they discovered America, which is a completely like colonizer term, because we deny that there was people there before. But when these people came to genocide, they came to Haiti. That was one of the first place. So the island was occupied by Arawaks and stuff. And then you know, capitalism, you have to sell people and sell products. So they did what they did. And then the Spanish came, the Portuguese came, and then the British came. So it became like a British colony. And then Napoleon at that time, he wanted to build an empire. And he was like, you know what? This is the most lucrative colony that there is right now. So he tried to take over, but with his Napoleon techniques of war, which like crooked and very snaky and things. And then at that time, people wanted to have their freedom. So they were like, what? Napoleon was trying to kick out the British and help us? Okay, let's link up with him. But then Napoleon was like, psych, no, everybody, now I own this island now, you know, parts of it, you know? And so when there was a revolt, which was the first time in that time in history that there was a revolt of slaves against their masters, and then that they won. You know, it was against Napoleon, 1804. Haitians got their freedom against the colonizer. It was the first Black Republic at that time, and mind you, 1804. It like certain countries in Europe were not countries even, and we were like free. But then the important thing about Haiti gaining its independence, and that's why I take pride in this. It's like it's rooted in solidarity. So we had solidarity with the Polish people. They were in the Napoleon troops,
Mhm.
and they were like, "What, Napoleon? You trying to make all those things to those people?" And they're willing to die for their freedom. They're willing to do all those stuff. And so the Polish fought with us. And then when we gained independence, Haiti, we went to see Colombians, Venezuelan, and a lot of countries in closer to the Caribbean Sea of like Latin America to just gain their freedom for them as well, you know. And then it was amazing. And then Haitians went many places to help other people from different nations, and then call this place the land of people who are free, you know. So it was beyond Black liberation. It was literally like a way to abolish all those things we're trying to abolish, like, but with this sense of solidarity. And that's why I take pride in being Haitian, you know.
Mhm. I believe the gentleman who led the slave revolt against, I believe the
Yeah.
French was Toussaint Louverture, right?
Yes, Toussaint Vertus, exactly. They captured him. They
Mhm.
brought him to France, near the borders of Germany, of Switzerland, and Italy. He could not leave. You know, they captured him and killed him
Mhm.
before he seized the revolution, which is to me insane. And right now I'm so close. I think I'm gonna go when I have time, like to go see that and just like give some words. I don't know, have a moment, you know, but yeah, it's kind of a very interesting story.
Mhm. So, my home country is Vietnam, and we had a history of being colonized by the French too. So, I have some commonality, and plus the Algerians. Yeah.
You know, and then the thing is, something that is very, you know, that bond us, but that also pushes us to still fight together, is that when there was the Black Lives Matter movement, there was a lawyer, a Haitian lawyer based in Boston.
Well.
He wrote a letter to the European Parliament, like recently in 2020. And he wrote a letter to the European Parliament demanding that France gives back the debt that Haiti was owing them. Because, listen, Napoleon didn't leave like this. He was like, oh, okay, you want to be free? You owe me 20 billion, you know, dollars, which Haiti kept continue to pay, and things like that. Things like the Eiffel Tower, we paid for that things, you know. So it's just, so this lawyer wrote a letter that every country who got colonized by France,
Mm.
Algeria, Vietnam, everybody, Guadeloupe, they should get, get some money back. You know, if we still live in a capitalist system, give it back, because all of our country are so shaky because of corruption and things like that. You know, so it's just like a matter of like keeping a balance, I feel.
Mhm.
Oh.
I see. So, there are always three things that I am very curious to know about a culture different from my own. One being the language, and the other being history, and the third being the food. So, what is Haitian food? How would you
Oh,
describe it?
I miss it so much. Also, we have a meal that I made here in the Netherlands because it was the celebration. So, Haitian Independence Day, we have a squash soup that we eat. So, you know, like the really like orange type of squash, very sweet. And then you put like a piece of Scotch bonnet in it to have some flavors. I mean, there's potatoes, sweet potatoes, yams, celery, carrots, all broiled together with broth, and then pieces of beef that are marinated and then cooked, like slowly cooked inside the soup, with pieces of gnocchi that we have in that soup as well. And then we put random macaroni, spaghettis, penis, all that, all those types of like, macaronis and pastas. Like they have to be the most random
Mhm.
inside that soup, and it's very spicy, very good, and we eat that for Independence Day. It's one of my favorite meal. But also we have some fried pork that is like marinated, cooked, and fried. But listen, my family on my dad's side is from a region where they grow rice. So we say no rice, no life, okay? Like This is so my family on my dad's side, they have a lot of, they used to be in that industry in business because they were farmers, and like there's so many dish with the rice. You have the ziri sauce pois, which is the white rice with like a kind of a black bean sauce, or you can get the red bean sauce, or the green bean sauce, or the white bean sauce. This is so good on a plantain, on a fried plantain, like the salty ones, like Latino style, like not sweet but salty. The rice and the black beans on the plantain, to me it's like my mom giving me a hug. But my favorite rice, oh my God, is called dirigeon. And it's basically you take the white rice and then you have some jonjon, which means like mushrooms, but dried mushroom, and then you infuse the mushroom inside water, and then that water you cook the rice with it, and then you put pieces of like green beans, cashew nuts, and shrimps. This is the best rice. Oh my God. When my grandma makes that, it's like the special occasion rice in Haitian culture. I mean, there's also chicken, there's also a lot of seafood, but those are my favorite meals.
Mhm. I see. Well, if you haven't tried Vietnamese cuisine, you really should because that's
Oh, I listen, I love it already. I love it already. For what I got from Vietnam that I ate, it's one of my favorite food. It's one of my favorite food. Someone asked me that one time if you have to pick, and I was hesitating between Vietnamese food and Haitian food. For real, it's one of the best food in Asia. I like, oh my God, like, oh my God, and Indian food is good, Japanese food, but Vietnamese, it's sweet and spicy,
yeah.
it's, oh my God, I love it. I really
Mhm.
love it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the thing about Vietnamese food, and I assume it's the same with Haitian cuisine, is that they are made by ordinary working class people, right?
Yes.
It's
Yes.
in contrast to French food, which is very, very elitist, which is something that I don't very much like about it.
And this flavor also.
Oh yeah, it's devoid of flavor. Oh, they always have butter in everything, which is not that healthy. Yeah.
Yeah, also I like flavors. I like, something that is like, yeah, like I mean people like rice and beans, whatever, but oh, like a good rice and bean, like but it's because it's also the way that we make the rice.
Mhm.
It's like there's a process in the way you do it, that makes it flavorful. Like obviously you have to wash your rice now. I'm saying some people they don't do that. And then we put a little piece of garlic, and then like we cook it, and then we put the rice, we put the water, and then when it's cooked you put like the scotch bonnet and the thyme so it takes the flavor of it. Oh, I can't wait to go home to get that food. Like definitely, damn, like I miss it.
Well, I look forward to trying something of Haitian cuisine too.
uh
So
yes.
yeah, so tell us about your alias, which I brutally mispronounced. Sorry about that in the
It's
beginning.
okay.
Gayance.
It's okay. No problem.
It's Gayance.
Gayance.
Gayance. Okay, thank you.
Yeah,
So
yeah, yeah. It's like the Creole way. It's so French.
mhm. So what does it
So basically,
mean? What does it mean
so
in
basically,
English?
when I was younger, my friend used to call me like Gayance and stuff because it's just a Creole word to say like life of the party, and
Mm.
happiness, joy, and all that stuff. It's
Mhm.
just Creole slang.
Yeah. And so you adopted it as your DJ alias, and you literally become the life of the party whenever there's a party.
Exactly. Yeah.
Mhm. What's uh what's the favorite part about the DJing gig?
So what I like the most is definitely like sharing music with people and sharing like moments.
Mhm.
Some people they come and they really dare to let it loose and things, and then you create moments for them to remember with their friends, with their loved ones, or just to uplift themselves by dancing and feeling more like themselves, and you can tell it in their eyes that they feel like for a second they're special too, you know what I'm saying? And that's like important in because the world is like very sad, and then for one glimpse of a second someone is like you know, and then you're like, okay, then you know, it's I did what I had to do, you know.
Hmm. Yes. So, what are some of the music that you grew up to?
I grew up with so much stuff. Like I feel like I was raised by, you know, people who was making music, like my grandfather, but then the rest of the family, they were just music lovers. So there was so much things like ballad R&B, R like 90s R&B, 90s hip hop, 90s dancehall, like some compa, Haitian compa, some bossa nova, Cuban music, so much things like also my uncle was listening to some Daft Punk
Hmm.
back in the days. So there was like so much things like always like going on, you know.
Hmm.
So
Well,
that's that, yeah.
yeah, that's a very eclectic, I guess, eclectic
Yeah,
music taste that you have. It's yeah.
yeah, but and also the way I DJ too is very eclectic. Like it's always like not one style of music but different. So I guess it just comes from those childhood moments where there was like so much things, you know,
Hmm.
playing all the time. So it's like, yeah,
Hmm. So let's talk about your album, which is titled Masquerade. It's a
yes.
portmanteau for mascara and masquerade, obviously. So tell me how you came to having that name as your album title.
Oof, I was literally like we've just finished shooting the movie part in Brazil. I didn't know how I would call the album. I was still like working on finishing the album while I was working on making the film. And then it was like one of the last days I had in Rio, and it was the end of Carnival, and someone was singing a song called Trem da Onze, and it's a song that I really like and that I have like personal histories with. So, and I was just like, oh my God. And then I was like, this life, I was like, in French, I said, this life is a masquerade. And I shed a tear. And I was like, wow. And I'm, oh my God, I should call the album Masquerade. I should call the album Masquerade because, yes, it's true. This life is a masquerade in the good sense and in the bad sense of things, you know.
I see.
It's just a big parade, you
Hmm.
know, you just go with the flow of it.
I see. So tell me about the recording process of this particular album.
So there's some songs that they were like I started to make when I was in Park X, a neighborhood in Montreal, in my apartment. I had the tiniest apartment with almost no light. And so I started some songs there, some demos, and then eventually I went on tour in Europe in summer 2021, and I made the Nunca Mais with the producer, Dutch-based producer Laza. So he co-produced the track with me. Um, and that's the only song I made like outside of Canada. And then I got access to a artist residency for 2 weeks in the woods in Saint Adèle. So I went there and I could like invite other people because it was so like, I mean, it was spacious. A lot of people could stay there. And so that's where I stayed for 2 weeks and continue making the album there, you know.
Mhm. Yes. I especially like the song Nunca Mais. Uh,
Yes.
and yeah, what does the title mean, and what does it mean like linguistically, and what does it mean like in significance?
I mean, the translation is never again.
Ah, yes.
Yes. And so basically, I had like a big fight with a friend. We disagreed on some very deep issues. It was
Mhm.
like a big fight and about her values and things like that. It was really like, if we don't make it, like we won't like our friendship won't be restored, but it got restored. And actually, it's one of his favorite songs.
Mhm.
And so, yeah, I was very pissed. And then I was with my friend, Mark Laza, and we just saw each other after the whole pandemic and things. And he was like, yeah, tell me about you. Tell me about what happened. Like, I'm going to tell you about me, what happened. You know, we catch up with a friend. You can finally see each other in real life after the pandemic. And so I was at his place. He had this tiny place, and I was staying there. And yeah, I was telling him about this, and while I was telling him about this, he was like opening his computer and opening the keyboard, MIDI keyboard, and next thing you know, we made a song in 10 minutes. Like
Mhm.
it was crazy. It was really like you know, the energy was there, and I freestyled the lyrics. I
Mhm.
was just like go, and then we made the beat together. It was very like yeah, it was like a burst. Like it was very quick. Even each other were like, what? Like it was a moment.
Mhm. I see.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think I do agree that in order to maintain a friendship, certain things cannot be like discussed, like you have to put
Yeah,
into
it was really
agreement.
like a value issue, like profound value issues, social justice stuff.
Yeah.
Like I was just like, bro, no, no, and so we had big discussion, but he really wanted to acknowledge some things and stuff. So I mean, we're good now, and it's great. But it's funny that it's his favorite song.
Uh-huh. So another remarkable song of the album is titled Cloud Chaser's Anthem. And this is
Yeah.
the song that introduced myself to your work, because I know of the one of the collaborators on that song, Holly Peggy Hogan. She was a guest
Yes.
on this show, and that's how I know you from. So what's it like working with her?
Oh my God, Peggy is a good friend from a long time.
Oh wow.
Okay. Like I know Peggy for 10 years. Can you believe that?
Hmm.
And it was the first time we ever collaborated together. Aside of our friendship, I think we DJed together 2 times in those 10 years, but otherwise it was someone that I was hanging out with. Like she goes to my house, we watch RuPaul's Drag Race, we smoke weed, we go get ice cream, I chill with her dog Edna. Like it's my friend, like first and foremost, and I really miss her, for example. And it was just like a very beautiful moment to share, to be in the studio with her and Janet and working on my album and stuff. And yeah, and I've done some stupid shit in this process of making the album, bringing people in my creative space while it was not time. And so I got to see, also, I got my heart broken while making the album. I guess I wanted that. I don't know. I don't know. Maybe, maybe not. And so this guy broke my heart. And then yeah, so the emotions were there, and we wrote the song, and made the whole beat. It was crazy. It was just, how can I say, like really, like, to me, making music is not something that is like mechanical and things like that. It's just like moments with friends or with self, and just like really trying to be the most honest with myself in the songs that I want to hear, and not to be hard too much also, and looking for what I'm trying to do. And when it comes to lyrics, is trying to be the most honest possible, and if I have to make some hidden messages for myself, a note to self, you know,
Mhm.
it's just like, it's just a way.
I see. I should like to show you something that I got just a few days ago. Yeah,
Ah, so
yeah,
nice.
yeah,
This is very nice. Yeah.
yeah. And there's more too.
Wow. Oh my God. This is amazing.
Oh
I
yeah.
miss her. I'm gonna see her in like 2 weeks.
Ah, that's
So
good.
I always want the wine. I'm ready. If she hears this, I'm ready, girl. And I'm so, because my mom lives not too far from her place, so we about to chill and catch up. So
Oh,
imagine not
nice.
friends for 7 months. It's
Mm.
it's really a close friend of mine, you know?
Mhm.
It's like, yeah, so many good moments we live together. It's like it's fun.
Awesome. Yeah. So I'm guessing you're going to be performing in Montreal in the next 2 weeks,
Yeah.
I'm guessing.
With her actually as
Oh,
well.
really?
And the whole
Oh, nice.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
So
So
tell her I said
everybody will
hi.
yes, I will.
So what I
So
discovered.
everybody who collaborated on the album will be
Mhm. Okay. So I discovered that in one of these tracks, right, track number 7, um, she or
yeah.
I think a friend of hers was reciting this classic Chinese poem, and it was by a great Chinese poet named Li Bei, and we in Vietnamese we pronounce it differently, like Li Bec, but is
Okay.
he's very well known both in China as well as Vietnam, and I was very surprised to see that she featured this poem in that album because I learned it back when I was in 8th or 9th grade. Yeah.
Yeah.
hmm
Wow. I mean, she's very close to her culture, you know. She has some Chinese descent and she's very close to that. She's really proud. We call her the Queen of Chinatown, you know what I'm saying? You know, and she run things. She fights for also for her people. And I was talking about solidarity at the beginning, and I feel like it's also part of that friendship, you know. Like I stick to you, you stick to me, like not only as an individual but also for what you stand for. So, you know, it's just beautiful to see and to share also. I share my culture with her. I mean, she doesn't eat meat,
mm
but when I
mm
have a Haitian meal with no meat, I mean, I can share it with her. And
mhm,
then vice versa, you know, I can share Chinese culture with her. It's beautiful.
mhm. So I don't want to trigger a heated discussion on values and such, but what I find is that the there's a great difference between Eastern and Western cultures in which in the West individuality is more valued, and in the East community is more valued. Yeah, of course, there's are downsides and upsides to both, but it's my observation upon reaching the Western world from Vietnam that um, the excess of individualism is the reason why people are so atomized and polarized, and I think it's the job for everybody to find a community, especially a community of people who are different than them in culture and values and such, right?
Yeah, like-minded people. Yes, definitely. But I feel like the core of that individuality is rooted in capitalism because capitalism makes us think that we are a product that we need to produce all the time, you know, in our jobs and our things and stuff like that. And then because we have to produce all the time, we have to compete against people, which is completely false. And then because of that competitive thing, people became super individualistic, you know? So
Mhm.
it's like it's literally like rooted in like those capitalistic values. I really feel, for example, in Amsterdam, like I was born in the West, like but here it's insane. It's insane. Like, whoa, you know, because there's also this class thing that I didn't grow up in Montreal and with so many people from a different class than me, social class
Mhm.
higher and yeah, I really feel like it's rooted in some capitalistic thing. And I mean we always have to be aware of our surroundings because at the end of the day, like everybody's important in the whole situation. And when I say everybody, it's not even every living thing, you know what I'm saying? It's like we really have to care for each other, you know, and it's our way to care for ourselves.
Mhm. So I would like to quote from you from a great philosopher in Britain, Roger Scruton. He said that conservative thinkers have, on the whole, praised the free market, but they do not think that market values are the only values there are. Their primary concern is with the aspects of society in which markets have little or no part to play: education, culture, religion, marriage, and the family. Such spheres of social endeavor arise not through buying and selling, but through cherishing what cannot be bought and sold, things like love, loyalty, art, and knowledge, which are not means to an end, but ends in themselves. And I should like to follow up with a great quote from Oscar Wilde too. He says, "Nowadays people knows the price of everything and the value of nothing," which I think is a great side effect of what free market capitalism produces.
Yeah, and then the worst thing is that they don't know the value of themselves, you know. And when you don't know the value of the self, how can you care for others, you know? You don't even know how to care for yourself. But when I say that, it's not in a way that people should be individualistic. It's just like, how can I say? I feel like people should know that they are loved by loving themselves, and then they can love other people back, because otherwise there'll always
Oh,
be this harshness. You know what I'm saying?
yeah, yeah, I understand.
It's like, yeah.
Mhm. So this is other great track of the album too, which is titled "Lord Have Mercy." Yeah,
Yes.
I think it's a very beautiful like R&B piece that really reminds me of that British artist Sampha. I don't know if you're familiar with him.
Yes, yes. I've seen him play. It's amazing.
Oh yeah, he has it's this album, right? Process. Oh my God, that's just tremendous.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
So tell me about that song, Lord Have Mercy.
I mean, it's if you really read the lyric, it's an explicit song.
Hmm.
It's about a story that happened. Also, that summer I was making Nunca Mais. I think it was before Nunca Mais.
Hmm.
So I had this story with this guy in Berlin. It was my first time meeting him. And it was, like I said, it was my first trip post-pandemic. So I was like, rah, you know,
Hmm.
I was like, I'm gonna do it all. We have one life to live. And so I was quite tired because I was working a lot before going on tour. I still had my day job, and so it was like a lot of hours and things, and I was tired, and I was like, okay, the first day I'm gonna be in Berlin, I'm gonna go to a spa, okay? And then this guy wanted to go on a date with me, and I was like, ooh, why not go to the spa with this guy? And yet I didn't know that the spa in Germany was naked.
Oh.
And then I was like, what? And then I was like, my friend was like, ah, but Aisha, you invited this guy for a date, you never saw him, and then you're gonna go to the spa naked with him. And I'm like, oh my God, I didn't know. And then I told him, you knew? Why you did not say nothing? And the guy was like, but you invited me. And then I was like, you know what? I have one life to live. And then we went. And I mean, the tension were built. Nothing happened, but tension was built. And then Lord Have Mercy became the song.
Wow, what a story! What a story! So I look upon your Spotify page and I see that you have a quite a few upcoming shows, right? One is on April the 29th, the other is May 1st, and the other is May 5th. And in the 20th, you have the Montreal one. So how excited are you?
I'm very excited. Very, very excited. It's gonna be fun. I can't wait to see my friends. I can't wait to see my family. I can't wait to present another side of me as an artist. I can't wait to perform with the band. I can't wait to see them and share with them and rearrange all of that.
Mhm,
It's gonna be exciting.
mhm.
Yeah.
So Vienna doesn't have much of a nightclub culture, but Budapest, the neighboring city, definitely has. So if you have the chance to do visit it, because I'll be there next year, and perhaps we can meet in person.
Yes, I would love to. I mean, I will be doing a layover in Vienna
Ah,
this summer,
really?
because I'm gonna play in Croatia, which is not too far, I
Hmm.
think.
Yeah.
So
So let me know
yeah,
if you're there, and perhaps I can show you around town, maybe.
you should, because I'm gonna be there with Peggy actually.
Oh,
You
really?
know?
So both you
Yes.
guys are coming to Vienna.
I mean, I don't know what her flight situation is, but yes, she's gonna be with me.
Oh boy.
We didn't get the same flight, but yeah.
Hmm.
So I'll check up on you, and we could do something.
Yes, of course. I very much look forward to it. So tell me about Um, there's this great movie called Do the Right Thing. I don't know if you know about it.
Yes,
Oh, it's
of course,
brilliant.
Spike Lee, of course.
I mean there's that brutal scene with the Bill Nunn
Radio
guy,
Raheem.
Radio Raheem. He was murdered by the police, which is which predicted George Floyd and everything. I
Mhm.
mean, but during that movie, there's like the brief moment of tranquility where nobody was like arguing or fighting against each other. And there's the DJ played by Samuel L. Jackson, who's listing all the artists and rappers that he plays up and on the song. And I think it signifies how, whatever backgrounds we are, music is something that can heal us and unite us. So would that be a message which you are in agreeable with?
Yes, definitely. It's been something that people have done since the beginning of time. People use music for, spiritual purpose, healing purpose, telling stories, and now it became entertainment.
Mhm.
But it used to be at the root something for healing, something spiritual, and something to tell a story. That's what it was before being entertainment. So yes, like Do the Right Thing is one of my favorite film. I mean, I went to film school because of
Oh,
Spike
wow.
Lee. I mean, I love his entire discography. I got to meet him once in New
Oh.
York when he was doing the Michael Jackson block parties back in the
Mhm.
days. And so like, oh my God, like I really love this film. And I feel like it was not predicting what the George Floyd situation would be, but it was just portraying like what America is and like how like systemic racism is, because systemic racism in America has affected all the minorities.
Mhm.
Like Asian people couldn't do certain things, Black people couldn't do certain things. Like it was literally like the law. And then this thing about the police killing people or a civilian being able to own a gun to kill and have no charge, it just shows you like how when white people do those things they can get away with it, you know what I'm saying? And it's okay because by the law they'll be protected. And I feel like he was just like trying to also like talk about those issues in a neighborhood where he grew up, and this whole situation of like Black people living with Italians. it's also like it was also like my childhood. I
Mhm.
grew up in Montreal North, and it was at the borders of Rivière-des-Prairies, RDP, and Saint-Léonard, which are neighborhoods with a lot of Haitians and Italians, and it has that vibe. It
Mhm.
has that vibe. That's why I love Do the Right Thing, because it reminds me also like maybe not the architecture that much, but the whole social climate, people and their styles and all that stuff like reminds me of part of my childhood in some ways.
Mhm. Yeah, we should really talk about like movies too, because I'm also a big movie buff. And
I
so,
love.
since you and I have both watched it, so I should put this question on the table. Did Mookie, played by Spike Lee, do the right thing?
Uh-huh. Oh, oh, if he did the right thing
Mhm.
by creating the riot,
Yeah, he threw the trash bin into the
yeah,
window of the pizza shop, right?
I would say yes.
Mhm.
I would say yes. I would say yes. I mean, I sing about it, so I would say yes. Yeah. Sometimes you need fire. Like, I feel like fire creates fire, but fire also creates a form of rebirth. By burning down things, you can get something reborn.
Mhm.
Like fire and water are for me sources of rebirth as much as earth is. Wind could be as well, but I feel like fire is always showed as a element that is like chaos and like ending, but I feel like there's a renewal in this, and I feel like that's what he was trying to create, and the fight continues, and then we just need to put those structures down and start over.
Mhm. I certainly see it as Mookie trying to, I guess, unleash or at least alleviate the building resentment and tension. Because if the pizza shop was not destroyed that day, uh, somebody will get hurt or get killed the next day. So
Yeah.
he managed to unleash all of that in one day, and then the next day, things, I guess, kind of return to normal again.
Mhm. Exactly.
Mhm. So, tell us about the movie which you made in accompaniment with the album.
So we made a film directed by Maëlys, and the film was not supposed to be. It was supposed to be a music video for Nunca Mais, and then switched plans. We all went to Brazil. We had funding from the government, and then we all went to Brazil. And they were like, you know what, like quick, write something down. While I had demos of the album, it was still like in the making to finish the album. And I created the visuals, and then it's a film in like 4 chapters: wonder, trust, exhaustion, anger at the same time in the third chapter, and then rebirth. And then
Mhm.
we use like air, earth, fire, and water element throughout those chapters to talk about different stages of life with a lot of like children, elders, love, nature. It's very peaceful, it's very loving, and it's just yeah. And it's with all the song of the album, so it's like it tells a story
Wow.
at the same time.
Mhm. Yes, and I think more like films should be made like based on an album. For example, I think that To Pimp a Butterfly by Kendrick Lamar, if it was realized into a motion picture, that would be epic, you know.
Yes, but at this, how can I say, like there's an album of Caetano Veloso, Acaraza Azul. It's an album by Caetano Veloso. When you listen to it, it's like a movie. There's a lot of albums from the 70s that were made like movies that are not necessarily have a visual aspect to it, but that's the way they were made. And that's also something that I really admire,
Mhm.
like in a lot of like people's art. So I was trying to get there, but then with the visual aspect because I really like films. So yeah.
Mhm. Yeah, this is a great Jamaican movie called The Harder They Come, right? With Jimmy Cliff. I don't know
Mhm.
if you know that one.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
and the soundtrack of it was yeah, brilliant too, and it introduced everybody to Jamaican music.
No.
Mhm. Yeah,
Mhm.
so what are some of your favorite all-time movies?
Mm. I would say Spike Lee's Crooklyn,
Oh yeah.
um, Âme Noire, Black Soul by Martin Chartrand. Um, I really like Black to Techno by Jen Kirou.
Hmm.
I really like Le Parfum and Un Prophète. They're great movies. Incendie as well.
Hmm.
Uh, Ooh, I watched Athena on Netflix and I was like, damn. That was Romain Gavras is so good. That was very good.
Hmm.
Very, very good.
Let's see. So,
Yeah, yeah.
so right, I just remember that in at the end of that Do the Right Thing movie, there's that great picture. The conflict of the movie is that this Italian pizza shop does not have enough famous black figures on it. And then at the end of the movie, the pizza shop, which is destroyed, and there's this guy who, he has some like speech problems, right? I just remember it. And he tries to sell pictures of Martin Luther King and Malcolm X. And at the end of it, he stuck one onto the wall. And that's just a powerful moment. And because historically, that was the only picture that featured Martin Luther King and Malcolm X. In their entire lives, they only met once for like 5 minutes, and that was the moment that was captured. So I was really glad that somebody like took that picture.
Yeah, because it's also a unification of the polarization that was happening
Hmm.
in the Black community at that time, I guess. And I mean, they're both from different religious background. One
Hmm.
is a
Yeah.
Baptist, Protestant, the other one is Muslim. One is more, you know, extreme for some, and the other one is much more peaceful for some. But it's like from which perspective? I mean, they both have like a very important way of addressing things.
Mhm.
That was about like liberation and things, and they also like question their own selves. You know,
Mhm.
like you can see that, for example, Malcolm X really like grew like throughout his whole life and changed his opinion about certain things and was like revising it and trying to grow in it. He was not like stuck in one thing. He really like, and that's what's also admirable by people like that. I mean, they
Mhm.
literally got killed by the government, you know, for saying their own truth, you know.
Mhm. You know, what's remarkable about both these figures is that at the tail end of their lives, both were obviously assassinated. They had a change of heart regarding the views and the positions which they have advocated. I remember that there was a story in which Harry Belafonte recently passed away, right? Rest in peace. He was a close confidant of MLK Jr. and King actually spoke to him and he said that I'm afraid I've integrated, my people into a burning house. And Malcolm X, when he was leaving the NOI with the Nation of Islam, he had a lot of like deep soul searching about like his positions regarding the races, and that led him to everywhere in like Egypt and North Africa
Yeah.
and all that.
And I feel like it opened up also his perspective. At first, he was like, I am praying with white people. And then he did because he was like, you know, his faith was beyond all of that. And
Mhm.
that at the end of the day, solidarity is always the key. But then everybody has to know their position in the fight in some ways, I guess. And yeah, it's just like, I feel like us, everybody, yeah, that is not white, I feel like we really need to heal from all those stigmas that they put also in our heads about our own selves and about each other, because otherwise like it's just gonna be hard and harder and harder, because the white supremacy is such a powerful tool, and it infiltrates like every persons of colors household, whether you're in Egypt, whether you're in India, in Vietnam, in Haiti, in Canada. Any person of color will encounter white supremacy and internalize it. And that's why I guess they can keep their position, because even ourselves, we internalize it. I mean, even in my family, there's so much like colorism and things like that. So,
Mhm.
like people are like that, like they internalize ideas and then they do it to their own people. It's just like, and it's just like a circle over and over again.
Mhm. Yes. Oh, there's this great Spike Lee movie called School Days, which tackled the issue of colorism too. Yeah, obviously, you know that one. And it reminds me of how I think we have I guess, the obligation to remember our history and to tell it. Otherwise, others will do so and distort it. And
Yeah,
from the examples of Martin Luther King and Malcolm X, we've come to realize that if we look at their lives as a whole, they're much more complicated figures than what the American history consensus make them out to be. Right? Martin Luther King is the peaceful guy, and Malcolm X is a violent guy.
exactly. They're much more complex, and I feel like it depends on where are you in the spectrum of like of how to do things. I guess it's two schools and methods to do things, I guess like they're both logical in my eyes, in my views, and I try to incorporate both ideas. But at the same time, these days, I'm much more into I mean, I've always been into the by any means necessary, that Malcolm X has been saying, because I feel like the whole Christian Catholic view of like turning the other cheeks and things like that is just the thing that make us like still, in put us still in the gutter, you know what I'm saying? And I'm not saying that we should arm ourselves and kill everybody, but we should not turn the other cheek, and if someone bites us, we bite back. But if they don't bite, we don't bite, you know? It's just because otherwise nobody's gonna respect us. And we have things to protect. We have nature to protect first and foremost. And I feel like it's a conversation that people are not ready to have, that because of white supremacy and capitalism, there is climate change issues, you know? And the way I feel like the Westerners, especially people of our age, 35 years old and less, when they talk about climate change and things like that, I feel like there's such a, you know, a white view on it, you know, like, oh my God, I'm recycling and like I have a compost. Oh my God, I'm vegan, but it's no, it's empty, you know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
But we know that our people have been doing that for a long time, you know, like a long time. Your people, my people have been doing this thing, you know, but it's just like it's linked to our spirituality. And then some colonizer said it was the devil or whatever or whatnot. You know what I'm saying? And I feel like we should reconnect with that side of us, and then we'll be able to protect nature, which is like the thing we literally live in, and that's being destroyed because of those big ism. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
And so, and if we have to protect it by any means necessary, let's go, you know?
I salute to that. And so my final question, this is something that I've asked a lot of musicians, including all the ones that have appeared on this show. That being, what does music mean to you?
Uh, I mean, music to me is something very mystical, and because at the end of the day, it's something that we don't see, that we cannot really touch, but yet we build venues that are like a gathering spot for like worshiping that thing that we don't see and we can touch, you know. So to me, music is something very spiritual, like the way that I take moments to listen to it, or when I create it, or when I share moments with my friends and things like that. So to me, it's something that is like it's like a vessel that passed through us, especially musicians or even listeners. Like it passed through us, you know, and then it gives us a message or a reminder, or you know, an advice or some healing vibration. So it's very, to me, it's something spiritual.
Mhm. Yes, it reminds me of that the final track in the To Pimp a Butterfly album called Mortal Man, where Kendrick Lamar was actually interviewing Tupac, and that still gives me chills. And Tupac was saying that we're not just we're not rapping, we're just singing the songs of our dead homies and such. And that's such a profound line. Mhm. And
You
with
know, it's
yeah,
incredible.
yeah, and with that being said, thank you very much, Aisha Vertus, aka Gayance,
Thank you so much.
for joining the show. Take
Thank you
very good
so
care of
much.
yourself, and I wish you all the best in your next trips.
Thank you very much.